Have you ever spotted someone walk into a room and instantly grab everyone's attention without saying a single word? We've all experienced it, that person who makes everyone stop and take notice just by their presence. It's not about their voice or their stature. It's something deeper. Their silence. The most influential people don't feel the need to talk a lot. They know when to hold back, realizing that sometimes what remains unsaid carries more weight than what is spoken. This isn't just coincidence. It's a tactic that Sun Tzu and Machiavelli recognized ages ago, a skill perfected by some of history's most powerful figures to acquire and keep their influence. This isn't just a random thought, it's a carefully crafted strategy that brilliant minds like Sun Tzu and Machiavelli recognized centuries ago. It's a technique that history's most powerful figures have honed to gain and hold on to their influence. There's an old saying, "Speak only when it improves upon silence," which reveals a deep truth about power that many overlook. While most people chase validation through constant chatter, those who truly grasp the essence of power know how to wield silence like a weapon, both a shield and a throne. In times of crisis, it's rarely the loudest voice that takes charge. Instead, it's the one who remains patient, allowing others to tire themselves out with their opinions and suggestions. Their words hold significance because they are carefully chosen, measured, and strategically used. This isn't just a coincidence, it's a well-thought-out strategy. Throughout history, those often branded as villains have understood this aspect of power far better than heroes ever could. In the intricate world of human interaction, the real distinction between those who crave attention and those who effortlessly command it lies not in their words, but in the silences they nurture. One pursues power, while the other simply embodies it. Sun Tzu famously stated, "The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting." But how can one achieve victory without direct confrontation? The answer is found in grasping the psychological impact of unspoken authority. A true master strategist understands that by revealing nothing while absorbing everything about their opponent, they can secure victory even before the first move is made. They don't need to flaunt their intelligence. Instead, they place themselves in situations where success is all but guaranteed. Villains, for instance, don't broadcast their schemes or seek validation. They create a void of information that others eagerly fill with their own anxieties and assumptions. Influential figures often employ this strategy by posing questions rather than making statements, allowing awkward silences to linger until others, feeling the pressure, inadvertently disclose their weaknesses and secrets. The power doesn't stem from aggressive questioning, but from crafting an environment where others end up questioning themselves. Take note of how impactful individuals in meetings seldom monopolize discussions with their words. They listen carefully, observe the dynamics, and speak succinctly, often compelling others to reveal their stances while keeping their own intentions under wraps. Machiavelli once pointed out that men are so simple of mind and so much dominated by their immediate needs that a deceitful man will always find plenty who are ready to be deceived. The biggest trick isn't a grand lie. It's the lack of information that makes people deceive themselves. When you keep your thoughts to yourself, others start projecting their own fears and desires onto your silence. Think about how often people jump to conclusions about silence based on their own insecurities. An employee might think their boss is disappointed when they don't say anything. A partner could interpret their loved one's quietness as anger, and a negotiator might see hesitation as a sign of rejection. In each case, silence acts like a mirror, reflecting the observer's own thoughts and feelings, often revealing more about them than the person who's being silent. Silence isn't just a way to hold back information. It's about creating a space that draws others in, making them revolve around you. It's not about forcing people to listen, it's about making them eager to hear what you might say next. In everyday situations, the person who talks nonstop often fades into the background, while the one who speaks less commands the room's attention. Their words hold weight simply because they're rare. This is the true power of silence. It creates a certain kind of fear and uncertainty that leads others to give up their own power. Sun Tzu really grasped the significance of timing when he said, "If your opponent is temperamental, seek to irritate him. A volatile opponent tends to spill their secrets, while a true master of silence holds back until the moment is just right. It's not just about having information, it's about knowing when to use it. The wrong word at the wrong time can fall flat, but the right word, delivered at the perfect moment, can turn the tide. Silence can be a powerful tool for stirring emotions. When you're expecting a response but are met with silence, when you demand answers only to be met with a calm gaze, or when you seek comfort but find only uncertainty, the emotional toll can be heavy because it leaves you without closure. Silence plays out in three key ways: controlling information, leveraging emotions, and manipulating timing. Controlling information is the most straightforward tactic. By saying less and listening more, you can gather valuable insights while revealing nothing, creating an uneven playing field. Over time, this builds a significant advantage. The less others know about your intentions and strategies, the less equipped they are to counter your actions. Skilled negotiators and intelligence operatives excel at this, holding onto power by sharing less while absorbing more. Silence can be a powerful tool for emotional leverage. It often brings about discomfort, triggering emotional responses. When people encounter silence, they typically feel anxious, then defensive, and eventually find themselves eager to fill that empty space with words. Each of these emotional reactions reveals vulnerabilities that can be tactically used to sway behavior. The person who stays calm while others get emotional is the one who holds the upper hand. Think about a parent who simply shows disappointment instead of raising their voice, or a leader who chooses silence in response to a mistake rather than offering criticism. That unspoken judgment can cut deeper than any harsh words, because our imaginations tend to fill in the silence with something even worse than reality. Our brains are wired to seek out missing information, and what we conjure up in that silence is often far more intense than what could have been said. A skilled interrogator knows how to use silence effectively. They might pose a tough question and then just wait. Most people can only handle a few seconds of silence before feeling the urge to speak, clarify, or fill that uncomfortable gap. In those moments of unease, they might end up revealing more than they intended, just to escape the psychological weight of the silence. This tactic isn't about playing mind games. It's about creating an environment where others feel driven to share their true thoughts and fears. Let's dive into the fascinating world of silence and how it plays a crucial role in timing manipulation. The person who knows when to embrace silence and when to break it essentially sets the tone for every interaction. They choose to speak when others are open to listening, hold back when they sense resistance, and use well-timed pauses to highlight their most important messages. They grasp that the power of words isn't just about what is said, but also about the silence that frames those words. Machiavelli had it right when he said, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." Sometimes wisdom lies in knowing when to step back while others rush in. By exercising patience and strategic inaction, you can prompt others to make the first move, revealing their plans while keeping yours under wraps. A true strategist doesn't just know what actions to take. They also understand the perfect timing for those actions, and just as importantly, when to hold back. Additionally, silence has a unique way of creating presence. When you're constantly talking, people may hear your words, but they often miss the essence of your presence. Speaking less frequently, but with intention, can amplify your presence, making you more captivating and allowing you to take up more space in the minds of others. The most influential people in any gathering often seem to command more space than their physical form would suggest. This isn't merely about charisma, it's about intentionally crafting a presence through strategic silence, letting tension build and power emerge without the need for constant chatter. Sun Tzu really hit the nail on the head when he said, "If your opponent is temperamental, seek to irritate him." A moody opponent tends to spill their secrets. On the other hand, a true master of silence keeps their cards close to their chest until the moment is just right. They know that information isn't just about having power, it's all about timing. The right word can fall flat if it's delivered at the wrong time, but the perfect word at the perfect moment can turn everything around. Think about how powerful silence can be in stirring up emotions. When you're waiting for someone to acknowledge you, but all you get is silence. Or when you're looking for answers but are met with a calm, unreadable expression. Or when you seek comfort but are left with nothing but uncertainty. The emotional weight of these experiences can be incredibly intense because they strip away the closure we naturally crave. This clever use of silence plays out in three key areas: controlling information, leveraging emotions, and manipulating timing. Let's dive into each of these aspects. Let's take a moment to reflect on some historical figures who truly mastered the art of communication. For instance, Stalin was known for his strategic use of silence during meetings. He would let others speak first, carefully noting who said what, and then leverage that information later. On the other hand, Steve Jobs had a knack for using long, uncomfortable pauses to gauge people's confidence in their ideas. And then there's Queen Elizabeth I, renowned for her ability to listen intently without revealing her own thoughts, which gave her a significant advantage in diplomatic discussions. These techniques aren't inherently good or bad, they're simply tools at our disposal. What really matters is how we choose to use them and for what purpose. Understanding these methods is crucial, whether you plan to employ them yourself or just want to be aware when they're being used against you. A villain doesn't just use silence, they grasp the delicate balance between silence and speech. They know when to step back and when to push forward. They understand that sometimes being absent can create a stronger desire for their presence than being there all the time. Think about how scarcity can enhance value. A leader who is always available often gets taken for granted, while one who makes themselves less accessible becomes highly sought after. Their time becomes precious precisely because it's limited. Their words hold more significance because they're not squandered on trivial matters. This is the paradox of presence. Sometimes stepping back is the key to amplifying your influence. A strategic retreat or a well-timed absence can create a space that draws others in, rather than forcing you to chase after them. To hone this skill, start with small exercises. Try pausing for a few seconds before responding in conversations. You'll notice how the dynamics shift and the discomfort it can create for others. In meetings or negotiations, focus on asking questions rather than making statements, which allows others to share their viewpoints. On social media, resist the impulse to respond immediately. You might find that adversarial comments often say more about the person making them than about you. Ultimately, mastering silence is about exerting influence without force and maintaining control without being domineering. It's about ensuring that others can't ignore you, even when you choose to say nothing. This is a lesson in power that both Sun Tzu and Machiavelli grasped centuries ago, and it remains incredibly relevant in our noisy modern world. The villain isn't bothered by silence because they're at ease with themselves. They're comfortable in their own skin and thoughts. On the other hand, the incessant talker dreads what might surface in those quiet moments: doubts, insecurities, or the unsettling realization that they might not have anything worthwhile to contribute. If you're looking to cultivate this skill, start with some simple exercises. Try pausing for 3 seconds before you reply in a conversation. Pay attention to how others react to that brief pause. Notice how it can make them uneasy and change the flow of the discussion. In meetings or negotiations, focus on asking questions instead of making statements. This way, you allow others to reveal their positions while you gather valuable insights. Get into the habit of saying, "I'll need to think about that," rather than jumping to give an immediate answer. When it comes to social media, fight the impulse to respond right away to provocations. You'll find that many attacking comments often say more about the person making them than about their target. Use that insight to craft a more strategic response. Or sometimes it's best to just let it go and not respond at all. Throughout the ages, many notable figures have skillfully harnessed the power of silence. Take Stalin, for instance. He was known for his strategic use of silence, letting others speak first while he carefully absorbed their words for future reference. Then there's Steve Jobs, who would often employ long, uncomfortable pauses to gauge the conviction and confidence of others in their ideas. Queen Elizabeth I was another master of this art, listening intently without revealing her own thoughts, which gave her a significant advantage in diplomatic discussions. These techniques aren't inherently good or bad. They're simply tools, and it's how we use them that determines their effect. Whether you plan to use these strategies yourself or just want to be aware of when they're being used against you, understanding them is crucial. The strategic use of silence doesn't rely on constant validation or approval. It's about making your presence felt, even when you're not saying a word. To hone this skill, start with small exercises. Try pausing for a few seconds before responding in conversations. You'll notice how the dynamics shift and the discomfort it can create for others. In meetings or negotiations, focus on asking questions rather than making statements, which allows others to share their viewpoints. On social media, resist the impulse to respond immediately. You might find that adversarial comments often say more about the person making them than about you. Ultimately, mastering silence is about exerting influence without force and maintaining control without being domineering. It's about ensuring that others can't ignore you, even when you choose to say nothing. This is a lesson in power that both Sun Tzu and Machiavelli grasped centuries ago, and it remains incredibly relevant in our noisy, modern world. In a world that's constantly buzzing with noise and chatter, there's something truly powerful about mastering the art of strategic silence. Just picture it, commanding respect and attention without saying a word, influencing those around you simply by being present. This isn't just a skill reserved for leaders or negotiators. It's a game-changing approach to life that gives you control over any situation. By embracing silence, you create an air of mystery and authority that draws people in, encouraging them to listen and share their own vulnerabilities. Now is the perfect time to tap into this timeless power. Start by incorporating intentional pauses in your conversations and watch how the dynamics shift in your favor. Challenge yourself to listen more than you speak, and you'll find yourself becoming the focal point of influence in any gathering. This isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding human psychology and leveraging it to your benefit. Explore the strategies of historical figures who excelled in this art and bring their insights into your daily interactions. So why wait? Take that first step today. Embrace the power of silence and watch as it transforms both your personal and professional life. Remember, silence isn't just the absence of words, it's the presence of control. Are you ready to take charge?